Hello guys, welcome back to another tutorial of Android development by DSC AUCE. And in this tutorial we are going to learn about object-oriented programming and Android Studio basics in Kotlin. So before starting this tutorial, let me introduce myself. My name is Rohit and I am a domain member of Android development team DSC AUCE. The contents which we are going to cover in this tutorial are object-oriented programming, text view, image view and button. And also we will be opening up Android Studio and I'll be showing you some of the samples, or give you a basic walkthrough of the whole Android Studio. So before starting this tutorial, let me clarify some things for you. Object-oriented programming is a vast concept, and covering pretty much everything of it in a single tutorial is impossible. So I'm going to only tell you some of the basics which are required for you in completing your tracks, the basic tracks. Other than that, object-oriented programming has many features like which you have probably heard of, like inheritance, encapsulation, abstraction, and I'm going to tell them but not briefly in this tutorial. Okay, let's start with Kotlin classes and objects. Kotlin class and objects. In this tutorial, you will be introduced to object-oriented programming in Kotlin. You will learn what a class is, how to create objects and use it in your program. Kotlin supports both functional and object-oriented programming. Kotlin supports features such as higher order functions and lambdas and function types, etc., which is a great choice for working in functional programming style. This tutorial will focus on object-oriented style of programming. So the main competitors, or you can say the big giants in this concept of object-oriented programming, is Java, C++, etc. But basically when you compare this language to Java, the number of lines of code for performing a certain task in object-oriented programming is pretty much less in Kotlin, and also it's so much efficient and you can write code seamlessly when compared to Java. So this makes developing apps and other softwares easier. But nevertheless, as a whole, the whole object-oriented programming concept is very important and is preferred by most of the programmers to functional programming, because this is used to write like large softwares, large applications which are highly maintainable and scalable because of the features provided by object-oriented programming itself. So object-oriented programming. In object-oriented style of programming, you can divide a complex problem into smaller sets by creating objects. So these objects share two characteristics, which are state and behavior. So let's take few examples. We'll be talking about a lamp and a bicycle, but in examples I'll be showing you what this lamp does. So let's see, lamp is an object. Yes, it is. It can be in on or off state. So I told you, right, state and behavior. So this is the two possible states which it can be. And the state of the bicycle is this. Okay, behavior, you can turn on and turn off lamp. So this is the behavior or the function. So basically you can imagine this as a property and this as a function. Like this is kind of action, right, which you are doing on the property itself. You're just playing with the property. Like we have two possible states, on or off state, and what you can do is you can perform some action or a function which is turning it on or turning it off. So this lays a very basic platform for you in visualizing classes and implementing them by yourself. This is truly a basic example, but you will see in a bit that this is exactly how a class will be built. So bicycle is an object. It has current gear, two wheels, number of gear, etc. These are properties or attributes, as I said. And the behavior or the function, which I have discussed. Yeah, it has braking, accelerating, changing gears, etc. behavior. Yeah, these all are some actions which are performed on these attributes or properties or these states. So in this slide I think you'll get a much more clearer look. Before you create objects in Kotlin, you need to define a class. So basically what a class is a blueprint for the object. You can think of a class as a sketch of a house. So let's imagine an architect. So basically an architect or a civil engineer has a blueprint of the house, and this blueprint acts as a template or a prototype for the house, right? So this basically can be thought of as a class. And what is an object? Yes, you have guessed it correctly. It's the house itself. And it's not only the house, I think we can build multiple houses from the same blueprint. So it is true in OOPS as well. You can build multiple objects of which belong to a similar class. So here is the point. Since many houses can be built from the same description, we can create many objects from a class. That's true. So let us get into the coding part. How to define a class in Kotlin. So this is, here goes the syntax. So you have the class keyword, you have the class name of the class which you would like to give, a bicycle or a lamp or a house or anything, and two main things, state and behavior, or property and a member function. Yes, so basically we are going to, in most of the cases, what this member function does is it makes use of these properties right here. Well, in most of the cases, and most of the classes has these two, like they are compulsory, or they are, in most of the class you will observe properties and member functions. And this is actually a classic definition of a class, in which you will find property and a member function encapsulated together. So as I was talking about some of the basic features like abstraction, encapsulation, etc. So this is one of the main feature of OOPS. Like, this is known as encapsulation. Like, you are putting the whole thing into a capsule, right? So this is a property and a member function, the whole thing into a class. So this is a class, and inside the class you have property and a member function. This is known as encapsulation. Basically you are binding data and function together. So this is data, attributes or property, the same thing. So let's look at an example. Here we created a class lamp, and what are the properties it has, or the states, whether it can be on or off, right? So here is the access modifier, and we'll be learning about it in a bit. Basically, just look at this part, because in the next upcoming slides you will going to take care of this private thing. So var is on boolean false. So basically we are initializing the state of the lamp, like if you want to put it in on or off state. So basically we are putting this in off state. So that's why we created a variable of type var, because this can be changeable, right? If you put it as val, we can't change it. If we are putting it as var, so we can change it. I mean, we can turn this on or off. That's basically what a lamp does, right? So this is boolean, right? Because true or false are of type boolean, and initially you are going to put false in the variable is on. And this is a member function which operates on this property. So function turn on. So what this does is, this sets the lamp, this lights up the lamp. So basically it's false, right? Puts this to true. And what is another function which we want to do? We want to turn off the lamp. So basically what we do is we turn off the lamp by putting false here. Yeah, this is visibility modifiers, pardon me. Yeah, previous slide I told you, right, about this visibility modifier. Let's see, private. So visible or can be accessed from inside the class only. So this variable can only be accessed by these two member functions, and it cannot be accessed outside this class, like by any other class or any other main function or anything. So this can only be accessed by these two functions. So this is private. So public, which means it's visible everywhere, which can be used everywhere. Protected, visible to the class and its subclasses. So basically, if this is protected, this can be accessed by this class and its subclasses as well. So what do you mean by subclass? So here comes another feature of object-oriented programming, which is inheritance, in which you have the parent classes and the child classes. So basically, children in general inherit some of the features or genes from our parents, right? So in that case, we put this protected here so that some of the properties can be reachable or accessed by our children also. Nevertheless, the children also have their own properties as in real life. So you have this one more keyword, internal, and any client inside the module can access them. So creating a class is not actually enough, because we need to make use of the class, right? So simply if an architect creates a blueprint, it's not suffice, right? We want to build a house of it, house out of it. So basically we want to perform something on the lamp here, some useful action. Let's see, this is the class which I already looked at in the previous slides. So this is the main function which are from which our execution begins. So what we have done is we have created two lamps, or basically two objects. So basically we named our first lamp as L1. This is of the type val because we don't want to change it, right? Like if we want a new lamp, we cannot magically turn the existing lamp into a new one. If you want a new lamp, we will go to a shop and we'll buy a new one. So that's basically it. So we created two objects, which is L1 and L2, and L1 is of the type lamp. So basically this is called instance of the class. So this is a class, right? So you want to create an instance of this class. So you have created L1 and L2, two instances of the class. So this is built with the whole thing. So you can access almost everything, these functions of the class. So L1 is an object of lamp class and L2 is also an object of lamp class. Here in the comments you can see this clearly. So how to access these members? So declaring the objects is not enough, right? You want to make use of these functions. You want to do some action. You want to turn on or turn off the lamp. This is what is important. So how to access members? You can access properties and member functions of a class by using dot notation. For example, L1 dot turn on. So L1 is the object and L1 belongs to a lamp class, right? Lamp class has some functions like turn on and turn off. So if you want to access those functions, you are going to write L1 dot turn on. So this statement calls turn on function for L1 object. Let's take another example. L2 dot turn on is on is equal to true, which means that basically see, basically initially it's off, right? It's an off state, right? So if you want it to be on initially, you're going to set this to true. Yes, here we try to assign true to isOn property of L2 object. Note that isOn property is private, and if you try to access isOn from outside the class, an exception is thrown. So as I said, this is private, right? So this variable can only be accessed by the class itself. So if you don't put private here or anything, by default it's public actually. So it's more safer to do that. But here we came to know that an exception will already be thrown, which means you will get an error. So yes, focus on the main function here. We have created two objects and we have set L1 to on and L2 to off. So basically initially both the lamps are off actually. So but what you have done is you have turned on the lamp 1 and turn off the lamp 2, which is already off by default. So what is new in this new slide is here there is a new function called display light status. Like we want to know whether the status of the current object, whether it's lit or not. So this takes an argument, right? So in the previous tutorial I think you have come across this function taking arguments. In this case it's taking an argument of type string and we would like to name it lamp. Okay, so if is on equal to true, I mean if the lamp is on, this is a placeholder. So in this place see we'll say that so and so lamp is on, else we'll print so and so lamp is off. And a cleaner way of writing this code is you can replace these print statements by return statements actually. That's a more cleaner way to do and it's a good practice, but let's go with this for now. Yes, L1 dot display light status, and we're passing a string here L1. So and we are doing the same thing for lamp 2 as well, and this is the output we get. L1 lamp is on, L2 lamp is off. So yes, this is the same thing as well. Yes, so here we just modified the previous display light status function. So here we took off the string here, and this is basically another way of writing. That's it. No string here and no string here as well. And you have created a new object lamp, and lamp is off obviously because it is initially off by default. So this is basically the basics of yeah, this is the end of slideshow. This is basically the basics of object-oriented programming. And yes, this is yeah, obviously this is not even 1% because as I told you, this is a vast topic. I've just covered the topics which are required for you to complete your basic tracks of Android Studio, like initial units of track 1, I guess. So let's move on to another concept. Yeah, I told you we'll be taking up text view, image view and button. So for that, let me go to Android Studio. So guys, I have opened up Android Studio here, and I have already set up few things here. I have created a project named Android Jam Basics, which you can see on the top left corner here. Here you have an empty activity. By default you will be having a hello world text here, and I've deleted it, and so you have nothing here, no text view. So this is a split view where you have the activity and the code, and this is the design view which you have only design here, and this is the view in which you have only the code. So basically the most easiest thing to do is to drag and drop the things. So let's drag a text view. So text view is basically text which can be displayed onto the screen. So we are using constraint layout, so we need to constrain every component to the corners of the screen. This is the basic thing we need to do in a constraint layout. See, we are using a constraint layout here. So our new code added up here. So this is text view, and we can modify this text view actually. So you can modify it to say hello world, and you can also have other features like font. We can set it to 30, and you also have font family. You can change the font. So that is all about text view, and this is a constraint layout where all the components are constrained to the edges of the screen, and this is the most flexible layout because you won't face any problem when you deploy your app to several mobile phones of different sizes. So let's talk about, you can delete it in this way too. Let's talk about image view. So when you drag up image view onto the screen, a box opens up, a window opens up, and from here you can choose all the images, or you can add a new image by clicking import drawables by clicking plus icon. Vector asset and image asset is for icons. So if you press drawables, and you can randomly download images from the internet, or you can put custom images into your Android Studio by selecting a random picture here. So basically, see, I have already night sky, something image of night sky here. I can import it directly. So basically another way of doing this is in the project pane, you can go to resources folder. In the drawable folder, you can copy the image and you can paste your image here in the drawable folder, so that when you drag an image view, you can see your image here. So another thing is the button. So yeah, button, you need to constrain them to the edges of the screen. Actually, when you want to place multiple components, you want to make sure that every component is constrained to another component in the view, but here we are operating on single components. So let's talk about button. So let's give this an ID. So I think for every button, it's good to have an ID, if you ask me. Yes. Yeah, I think this created a conflict here. Okay, there's a conflict here. I have given an ID to the constraint layout. Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah, so this is my button here, and text you can give it click. So everything is okay. And if you press this button, you want some event to happen or some event to take place. So in that case, you need to take your code. You can find that in main activity.kt file. So I already written some code here. Let's look at it. So like you put some components in your layout file, right? First you need to create variables of those components and link them to the kt file. So the way to do that is, so I've created a variable of type val of type button, and I gave it a name my button. It can be completely random. So this line basically says my button is of the type button. Button is an inbuilt class which is already in Kotlin, and I've given find view by id r.id.button. Let me clear this and write this again. So I created a value of my button, and this is of the type button. See, the id already prompts it, and when you press FB by default you get find view by id. You need not press the whole thing. So you're linking your layout file to your code. So basically R stands for resources dot id dot, and this is the id, right? So we gave some id to the button here, which is my button. So you need to give the same thing here also, my button. Okay, you have linked that component to your code here, and now you're going to set an on-click listener. So what this on-click listener does is, it gives an the content of this will happen when you press the button. So a toast message appears. So basically, what is a toast message? This is a toast message. So as soon as you click the button, you get a message from the bottom, a grayed out message, and I configured that message to tell hi. So basically what I've done is, let me write it again. So value toast equal to toast dot make text. Yeah, there are two make text. I think I'll go with the first one, I guess. Yeah, and you need to pass the context. So this stands for, so if you're not sure about what context you're in, you can simply give this, and you can give a message called hi, and you want to specify the duration for how long your message want to appear. So toast dot, there is an object called length. Yeah, short in the sense like it appears for short duration. So I want this toast message to show. So this is my variable dot show. Yeah, that basically, what that basically does is, it's as soon as you click the button, such message appears on the screen. So that's it for this class. And yes, I'm not running it because there are some bugs in my AVD, and for some reason it's not working, my virtual device. So that's it for the class. See you next time. Thank you.